Hello and welcome to Game Dev Club. Thank you so much for signing up. So this first video is pretty much how to get set up. This is for programming, so if you're not in programming, you do not need to watch this. So we're going to start off, we're going to be using Java, which is a fairly popular programming language amongst beginners. It's really nice because it's pretty much cross-platform, it's very easy to learn. And yeah, so we're going to get started with that right now. So first thing you want to do is you want to get a program called Eclipse. There's two ways you can get this. I provide links for it. So this is tinycountrygames.com. Tiny Country Games is my studio. Over here you see Game Dev Club. You're going to click that link. It'll take you to tinycountrygames.com/gamedev. It's completely, almost a completely different site. So you're going to go to Downloads. And in Downloads, you will see there are some links. These are some stuff that you're going to use in the club. So Eclipse is what you're going to need to download first. libgdx and tiled, we'll worry about that much later on. But Eclipse is, I'm going to just read off what it says. Eclipse is an open source Java IDE. Eclipse will compile and run your code in one click. Eclipse is very popular amongst programmers because there are plugins to make it work with any programming language. Make sure to download the standard at the top. So it's also very popular because it is really good at filling in your code for you, auto completion, so you don't have to type out so much code and it's not awfully annoying. So you're going to click download here and you're going to be taken to Eclipse's website, the downloads page. If you're on the school computer, you're going to download 64-bit. Or if your computer is 64-bit, you're also going to click this. If your computer is 32-bit, make sure to download the 32-bit program. Make sure to click the standard. Do not download any of these. You'll need this. So yeah, you click download, and you're gonna click this one, the little arrow, and it should start to download soon after that. There you go. It's gonna take a bit, so about 2 hours. Anyway, so I'm gonna pause the recording. Alright, cool. So this finished downloading. This should not be okay. Yeah, so it finished downloading. So you're gonna open the zip file, and you're gonna pretty much just extract it. I just like to drag and drop, so I'm just gonna drag and drop this to a folder called Game Dev Club on my computer. You can extract it wherever you want. If you're on the school computer, I really recommend that you put it on a USB because Eclipse is completely portable. You can boot it off a USB, it'll be totally fine. So please, if you can't bring a laptop to club every week, I really recommend that you put it on a USB and you can just plug it in and get started right away, so we don't have to spend too much time at the beginning of club setting up. So yeah, so we're gonna wait for this to finish extracting. It'll be done soon, so I'm just gonna pause it again. Okay, so it's done extracting, so we're gonna go to where we extracted it. I'm gonna make a new folder and I'm gonna call it Workspace. I recommend you do that in the same folder as your Eclipse. You can put it in there, or I would have put it in the actual folder, but in the same directory. So if you put it in, say, a folder called Game Dev, I'd have Eclipse and Workspace there. So anyway, so we go into Eclipse, and you're going to run eclipse.exe. If it doesn't say .exe, just know it's on the icon, and it says application file type. So you're going to run it, and you're going to wait for it to open up. So what Eclipse is what is called an IDE. An IDE stands for Integrated Developer Environment, or Developing Environment, something like that. And what that means is it's a text editor that is configured to be able to recognize code. There are certain certain IDEs that are built for certain languages, and Eclipse is one for Java. So now what it says, to find your workspace, you're going to click Browse, and you're going to find where you put that folder that I told you to make called Workspace. So mine's just in Documents. Not there. Game Dev Club. Alright, and I'm going to folder called Workspace. Workspace is going to hold your projects and some information that Eclipse can use. I recommend having, again, that workspace be on a USB if you are on a school computer. So press OK. You're going to wait for it to load a little bit. This should be, yeah, it's not going to take much long. Usually it takes a long time on mine because I have a bunch of plugins on Eclipse that we will not be using. Also, if you hear me if you hear papers in the background, it's because I have notes that I wrote for myself, so I know exactly what to say. So anyway, this is going to load. It should open up. There we go. Alright, so you're going to get this welcome page whenever you switch to a new workspace. It's just going to do this. I just exit out of it. Now this is Eclipse. So here's Eclipse. There's problems in case there's an error or something in your code. Java doc to help you out sometimes with a built-in method declaration, and over here there'll be consoles and all that stuff. So what you're gonna do, outline. This is all stuff I'll explain later. So you're gonna click New or File, New, Java Project. Alright, so this one's just going to call it Hello World. When you make a project name, usually you start it with a capital letter. Yeah, so you don't need to assign any of this stuff, you just click Finish and you'll be done. Alright, so in here, you have your project. This is a bunch of built-in stuff that Java offers for you. You don't have to worry about that. SRC will always stand for source. Your source is your code, basically. So what you're going to do is you're going to right-click the source folder and you're going to click New Class. Alright, a class is pretty much something that I cannot really explain yet, so don't worry. I'll explain it later. So you're going to call this class Main. Class names always start with a capital letter. Do not do this. It's not very standard and people will hate you if you do that, so don't do that. Alright, so I've got my class. It says public class main. Public, I'll explain what that means. Class, so again, not explaining it right now. Main, that's the name of your class. So to start off your first Java program, you're going to type the word public static void. These are all modifiers to a method. I will get into those later. Right now I just want to get you guys started. You can call it main. I'm going to put the word string brackets args, and you exit the parentheses, put a curly bracket. It's the same key as the brackets except for you just shift that key right next to the P, and then you can press enter. Eclipse automatically puts this in, but some IDEs don't do that, so you have to remember whenever you open a curly bracket, you have to close a curly bracket. When you open parentheses, you have to close parentheses. So what this means, so basically this is a method, and what a method is a set of commands that you can run, that the computer runs. And what programming basically is you're telling the computer to look for different methods in different classes and do this. So public static void main string args is a special method because it is the first method that the computer will run. Whenever it runs a Java program, the first thing it will look for is the main method. It will look for where it says public static void main string arguments, and then it starts executing whatever's in here, and then it'll go to whatever other classes you may have. So just know main string arguments is just where you start. It's a void, meaning it has no return value. I'll explain return values later, but just know in some other languages it's an integer or other stuff. So yeah, so we're going to start out, we're going to type in system. That's a class built in. I'll explain to it later. So out, system.out. These are all things that is a method, a built-in one. You're going to put quotation marks and you can type in hello. Well, you can spell, right? And then semicolon. Alright, so let me explain to you this line of code. System.out, the println, this is the class that we're going to, and then this is the method, like main, but it's built into this class. Again, I'll get into those later. Quotation marks pretty much mean that it's going to, you can put in whatever you want. You can put in human language, you can do that and it's fine, just nothing wrong with that. And the semicolon right here means that it's the end of this code, kind of like how you add a sentence into the period, you end all lines of code with a semicolon. So also, it's very important that you keep clean code. As you can see, there's very specific indentations. I like to have a blank line in between the class declaration and the first line of code in the class, and a blank line between the last line of code and the closing of the class. Whenever you have curly brackets, you open a curly bracket and then you end the line. You press enter, line's done, there's nothing else on that line. If you put something here, that's not clean code. Don't do that. Whenever you have a closing curly bracket, it's on its own line with the same indentation as the first thing that opened it. So as here, there's no indentation. The closing bracket has no indentation. Whenever you go into these curly brackets, you will indent one over. As you can see, the public static void main has one indent, and then it has curly bracket and the line's over. And the closing one, same indentation as the declaration, it has its own line, and whenever you go into the method or to whatever block of code, that's what these curly brackets mean. It's a block of code. You are indenting once again. So if I were to make another method, so say I would put another, you never do this, don't type this out, put another, gonna think it's all wrong. You would indent it one more time. It's wrong because you can't do this. But just if you have more curly brackets, which we will at one point in time, what I mean. So system.out.println and hello world will write hello world to the console. The console is the, oh, you gotta save it. The console is the basically the kind of the subsystem. A lot of things that, like, if you want to debug, you'd write stuff to the console, stuff like that. You should all know what a console is. Caleb Bell's birthday, in case you were wondering. Yeah, so that's what that does. It should just say whatever you put in here in the console. You can put in whatever you want, like my name is Jose. I'll print out to the console. So that's that. You can also do print out. Print Rodriguez Rivas. That's my last name. Print whatever it does. It just kind of adds it on to the console. I'll show you what that means in a second. All right. So print, my name is Jose Rodriguez Rivas. So basically, print just means just add it to the console or to whatever line it's on. If you want to have things have their own line, a line break is this /n pretty much just mean, or / whatever. /n just pretty much means make a new line in the string right there. So yeah, what println does is it puts an n there and an n there, unless of course it's the first line. So what ln does is it adds /n's to both things, gives the whole whatever this is its own line in the thing. So if I were to do this, println, look like that. Just starts in a new line, and yeah. So this is your first Java program. I'm going to change this back to hello world. So yeah, so that's your first Java program. You are now officially a programmer. You have learned about clean code. You have learned about classes and methods, sort of. You've learned how to put things in the console. Now let's learn how to actually start doing stuff. So we're going to make another project, and we're going to call this variables. we'll be working in this project for probably a couple weeks because there are lots of different types of variables. In math, as you all know, a variable is it's a thing that has a value. In math, they like to call it an unknown. In programming, it's not really necessarily unknown. A lot of times we just use it as placeholders for things that are known. We just don't want to type in numbers and stuff. So let's make this. We're going to call this first class or just make this main. Main, pretty much, if you have a class main, is pretty much what's going to hold this and run your whole project. But since all these classes are going to run individually, alright, so variables. So in math, you can't just have a variable and not have it mean anything. So you have to declare a variable. Declaring a variable means pretty much you just tell the computer, make a variable that holds a certain type of value. Variables have different types of values. There's numerical values, which are numbers. There are booleans, which are true and false. There are strings that are English. Like this right here is actually a string. But we will not go into strings or booleans right now. Right now we're going to cover numerical variables. So numerical variables are again expressed in numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. There are different types of numbers. I'm going to make it. Whenever you see two slashes like this and the rest is green, that just means a comment. That means the compiler ignores this code. It doesn't even do anything with it. So integer. So an integer, as you all know, is a whole number with a sign. So positive or negative, plus or minus. So there are different types of integers in programming. There's whole numbers. And we declare those using these keywords. The keyword is like public static void. It's just going to show up purple in Eclipse, and it just means that it's a keyword. You don't really need to know those at all. You just have to know keywords. You can't. So a variable always has to have a name and a type and a value. So when you want to declare a variable, say I want to declare an integer, int, that's a keyword, it's purple, and I wanted to name it int1. You put a semicolon. That's declaring it. Now to give it a value, int1 is equal to 1. So as you can see, I named this int1 because what you can't do is you can't name a variable keyword. You can't do a variable declarator. It's a keyword. You can't name it that. You have to add like a 1 or something to it. So yeah, int1. Or you can do this. You can do int1 is equal to 1. But I don't do that a lot. It's not very useful, because a lot of times you declare a variable at the beginning of a class and then you set it different values throughout the class. So an integer, int1. There's different types of integers. There's a byte. So byte 1. There's a short 1. And there's a long, and that's it. Long one. So what this means, so what all these are is they have different rules to them. Like say an integer is 32-bit, and its maximum value is 2 to the 32-bit power plus or minus. A byte is 8-bit. And its maximum and minimum value is 2 to the 8th power. So you can't give this number if you have something that's a byte, you can't give it a value that is more than, or that whose absolute value is more than 2 to the 8th power. So there's maximum, minimum values. Int is more commonly used. Anyway, so a short is 16-bit, and that's plus minus 2 to the 16th power, and a long 64-bit. That's plus or minus 2 to the 64th power. So that's basically variables. There's also decimal variables, so it's something point something. So there's two types of decimals. There's floats. A float is 32-bit. It just goes over a certain amount of decimal places. I don't exactly remember how many. So float 1, 16-bit, or oops, not 16, 32-bit. And then there's a double. Double means double precision. It just means it can go further, and the more decimal places you have, the more precise your number is. So that's great. I'm actually going to erase all this, or we can just comment this. If you want to just comment something, you can press Control 7 and that whole line becomes a comment. Control 7. And I can just get rid of this. You just need to know all this. I'll just have this here, so if you want to pause the video and have it for reference. Yeah. So now, what can we do with these variables? Well, you can do a lot of things. You can do normal operations, so let's do int number 1, int number 2, number 1 is equal to 1, number 2 is equal to 5. Just random numbers. And then we want to declare another variable, int number 3. So what you can do is you set number 3 is equal to 1 plus 5. What this will be, it will be 6. So, or num1 plus num5. So if you want to see, oops, what did I just do? Sometimes my mouse pad. Alright, cool. So number 3 is equal to number 1 plus 2, 1 plus 5 is 6. So let's put that in the console. Out. Print ln num3. You can put variables there and it'll just display the value of that variable. Let's run the class. It should get 6. Awesome. So now let's do another one. Int num4 is equal to num1 minus num2. System.out print ln num4. So what this is going to be is it's going to be -4. Alright, let's go to make another one. There's more operators. Int num5 is equal to num1 times num2. System.out ln num5. Alright, 1 times 5 is 5. Int num6. Num6 is equal to num1 divided by num2. Alright, so what I'm about to do is interesting because, alright, see, this is a 0 because integers are whole numbers. So let me just mention that decimal, and these are all whole numbers. So this is a whole number. So 1 over 5 is point something. Let me just do that real quick on my phone. I actually know what 1 over 5 is in decimals because I'm dumb. 1 divided by 5 0.2. It wasn't very hard to figure out, but 0.2. So 0.2, you can't have that in a whole number. So whatever it does, it just gets rid of that decimal, goes to whatever the number in the ones place is. So to do this, you want to have a decimal here. So let's just change this to a float. And here we have 0.0. Oh, because these are integers. But yeah, if you divide an integer and an integer, it will return pretty much a whole number. Let me see what happens if you do double. Yep, basically the same thing. So if we change all of these, if we change these two to floats, change all of these to floats. Now, 0.2. These all have 0.0. So let's have all these be integers again. Integers, and there we go. Now there's another type of integers. So when you divide 1 and 5, you get 0, remainder 5, right? So if we want to express that into number 7, what you do is number 7 is equal to number 1 to the remainder number 5. Dot out print ln. So it's whatever doesn't get divided evenly into that number. That should be an R. I can spell. See, 5. You use number 5 should still return. Oh, okay. You divide 5 into 1, or it's 5 divided by 1. Yeah. So it's the remainder. So say you want to find the amount of seconds or the amount of minutes. So say you want to have integer seconds, or let's make this a double. Let's make this second integer. Seconds is equal to 120. 100. Actually, we're gonna make this a float. Sorry. No, I know what I'm doing now. Don't worry. We're gonna make this 90. Right? Minute and a half. Int minutes equal to seconds divided by 60. So we do system dot out print ln minutes. Oops. There we go. You get 1. Alright? So 1 minutes. I'll explain to this what this means when I get into strings. We're not into that right now. Sorry, we have 60 so we have 1 minute and how many seconds? So integer remaining seconds is equal to seconds remainder 60. So it's whatever is left over. So we're going to do another system dot out print ln remaining seconds plus seconds. That little space there. Alright, so this should be 1 minute 30 seconds. Oops. 1 minute 30 seconds. So yeah. Now if you want to have a number, let's just get rid of this completely. Say you want to have a number that's one more than another number. So say you want num8. So you want integer num8. So you want number 8 to be whatever number 1 is plus 1. So you can do is number 8 is equal to num1 plus 1. Alright. You should get 2. Alright. But say you want to change what number 1 even is at all. So say you want num1 is equal to num1 plus 1. That's totally fine. What you're telling the computer to do is you're saying, alright, so you're going to assign number 1 to something. So you're going to assign it whatever number 1 is, so it's going to go back to number 1. See, it's 1 plus 1, that's 2. So it's going to take that and add it, set it's 2. There's num 1 again. 2. And you can put in whatever number you can put it. Put in 60. 61. And you can do this with any of these operators. So this is annoying. Programmers hate having to do this. So, but you can do this. There's another thing you can do. Num1. If you want to set it to itself, plus equals 1, or times equals 1, or divided equals 1. It's divided by 2. At 59, so it's a whole number. And number 1 should be 30. Or 60, sorry. Oh, that's because I didn't. Oops. There we go. I didn't print it. There you go. 30. So we do this, but what programmers found themselves doing a lot is num1 plus equals 1. And that's annoying. People don't like doing that. So they've invented another way to do it. Num1 plus plus. What that means is it pretty much just does num1 plus equals 1. 31. We also found ourselves doing minus equals 1 a lot, so we did the same thing, num1 minus minus. Incrementing and decrementing. 30. That's basically it. That's actually all I'm going to show you today. Thank you so much for, again, signing up for the club and for watching this video. If you have any more questions, you can email me or you can Skype me, whatever. I will be giving all you guys my email at the first meeting, and if you're not there, then just let me know if you see me around school or whatever. So yeah, thank you again so much. I'll see you next time.